I had some great mentors along the way, and some mentors I didn't appreciate because I was not as mature or evolved as I am now, and some I appreciated very much along the way. So my first mentor, by the way, was that janitorial supervisor that I had on my campus, because we would work at midnight and he will throw these like life lessons. And I was really annoyed. I'm like here 19, 20 years old and I'm trying to survive and I didn't want to hear these life lessons, right? But this was a very thoughtful, generous older gentleman. And he would tell me like, be one with the floor. And I said, what is one with the floor mean? He was talking about mindfulness and I didn't really understand that. It took me many years later to understand what he was really talking about. And then I'm in my late 30s and early 40s, I met a couple of very senior people in the industry. One of them happens to be a Japanese, and he took me to Japan. I was already very much interested in Eastern culture because of where I come from. And I got really into Zen Buddhism and traveled through some really spiritual parts of Japan, and it completely transformed me. And so it's an evolution. And then as my mother got sick and then my son got sick a couple of years ago, everything changed. And it's like I started to appreciate more and more that how precious life is and how momentary life is. And it's really upon us to do our best beyond ourselves. And each of us has something to contribute. It doesn't have to be big. We don't have to all change the world. But if we change our surrounding, that will have a ripple effect. That's why when I say Everything Connects, which was my book that I wrote 6 years ago, that was right after I had this couple of trips in Japan. I was sitting in Dubai airport and I knocked out this outline, and it was really about connecting to yourself and how that creates some sort of an impact. And the definition of impact is solely upon you. And then Lift, when I wrote Lift 18 months ago, which came out actually this year, it's about lift. If you want to lift others, first you have to lift yourself. That's essentially is the message. But obviously, me being in tech space, there's a huge connotation of how fourth industrial revolution is changing the way we work. And you and I wouldn't be talking right now if the technology is where it is today. But we can because of technology, right? So there's lots of opportunity to able to make impact, able to connect with people wherever, and able to really take advantage of whatever gift that you may have. It's your unique journey. It can be replicated. You can't follow somebody else's path. It's your own unique journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Faisal, for sharing that. I absolutely loved that you shared and you remembered that advice from the janitor. And it's so humbling. It's so humbling because especially at that young age, normally we wouldn't even listen. Yeah. And even if we would listen, we would disregard it and not remember it like many decades into the future. But what you're telling me and what I am learning is that like the life lessons or advice or wisdom can come from anywhere. Like it's not just from experts or...
Absolutely, and each human being has something to offer, and we are constantly have that opportunity. It's upon us to be in tune with that, right? And you can learn from a taxi driver, you can learn from a Harvard PhD professor, or you can learn from your colleague, right? You can learn from your mother, you can learn from the cooks who cooks, in a restaurant. It doesn't matter, right? Learning can come from anywhere, inspiration can come from anywhere and everywhere.